Today we're opening an exhibition that brings together two artists, Bill Viola, contemporary video artist, and Michelangelo, the great Renaissance artist who probably needs little introduction. We've brought them together because they're two artists who are interested in considering the human condition, in asking the big questions about life, the nature of being and of existence, the transience of life, and the possibility of transcendence. And in particular, in giving shape to the rather abstract concept of human spirituality.
I mean, both of the artists work in very different formats. I know this is your first major video exhibition. Just talk me through kind of the logistics and how you went about trying to make sure that they gelled together as art forms.
Yes, what we've brought together are 12 large-scale installations by Bill Viola with 14 small-scale drawings in black and red chalk by Michelangelo. In the first instance, what we were trying to create was a space in which visitors could explore the affinities between the two artists. We're not saying that Bill Viola was directly influenced by these specific drawings, but rather to say that there are common threads and concerns that weave between the work of both artists. Having said that, putting small-scale drawings, as your question suggests, together with large-scale installations is not a difficult thing to achieve. So we were thinking about how to create a dialogue between the works, bring them together in this same space rather than separate them and create two parallel exhibitions. So it was important to us that some of the works existed together in the same space, but what you will encounter are very darkened rooms, some of which just have a single installation by Bill Viola and some of which instead bring together the work of both artists. It's been technically challenging. Video requires a lot of equipment, acres and acres of cabling, and quite a strong architecture in order to be able to present it. So I think for those familiar with our galleries, they're going to look very different to the way you might experience them normally.
And you briefly touched on it before, but just kind of explain to me what it is that you want visitors to kind of think about and feel when they're looking at this exhibition. What are the themes that you want them to take home with them?
I think it's really, feel is a very good word actually. These are two artists whose work has a really visceral quality, a raw emotional power to their work. Contemporary audiences may be able to relate more readily to video, or some of them, because this is a medium we're all familiar with. We watch it on the screens, we go to the cinema, we're familiar with moving images. And Viola uses the scale of his video installations and this extraordinarily slowed down sense of time and sound to really make you register and feel his works very strongly emotionally. And we would like people to understand that he is placing himself within an ongoing tradition of spiritual and affective art. Michelangelo is one of the greatest artists working in that tradition, and perhaps today people find it hard to look beyond his extraordinary standing and reputation, to look beyond the patina of Michelangelo as an old master. But yet, even when he is dealing with overtly religious imagery and iconography, what he is most interested in exploring really is the human dimension, the very human dimension of the religious story. And there is an extraordinary emotive power to the way that he arranges his figures and to his compositions, and we hope that people will be able to connect with this very personal and very emotive quality of his work. These are also drawings that he created as gifts for others, in particular as gifts for a young man that he was deeply in love with later in life, or purely as meditative exercises for his own use. They're finished works, they're not preparatory sketches, and they're not the grand Sistine Chapel or the great sculptures and architecture that he created. They really bring us closer to the man, to his thoughts, his beliefs and his emotions.
Once you've kind of decided that you want to put these two artists together, how do you go about choosing from the vast selection of works from both of the artists, in particular obviously Michelangelo? How do you go about choosing these particular, 14 pieces?
Well, the exhibition actually originates in a visit to the print room at Windsor Castle. Bill Viola was very interested. He's always looked at the work of old masters. They have been one of the many reference points in his practice. And he was actually interested in looking at some drawings by Leonardo. who he was focusing on at the time. And while he was there, he met with the head of prints and drawings, Martin Clayton, at the Royal Collection. And Martin also pulled out some of the extraordinary drawings that are held in the Royal Collection. And Viola was especially interested, or responded in particular, to the way these drawings exemplify Michelangelo's treatment of the human form treatment of the body in order to convey spiritual and emotional states, something which has absolutely been at the core of his own practice. So that sowed the seeds, essentially, of focusing on this series of drawings. And from there, we decided really to make drawings the focus of this exhibition. The only other work that you will see by Michelangelo that isn't a drawing is a marble relief sculpture, which is possibly the highlight of the Royal Academy's collection, the only marble sculpture by Michelangelo that is held in this country, and that focuses on a very particular subject matter that resonates with some of Bill Viola's works.
When you walk in, you see the words life, death and rebirth. Do you think you have to be particularly religious to be able to appreciate this exhibition?
No, I don't think so, actually. I think spirituality is something that isn't necessarily religious. I think the interior world of thoughts, of feelings, of emotions, the desire to connect with something more meaningful and more profound, perhaps, than everyday materiality in our everyday lives is something that I think all of us will feel at some point or other in our lives. And I think it's something that people are very interested in thinking about today. So whether you come at it from a religious point of view or from a more secular point of view, I think this is an exhibition that has something to say.